us her light, giving us the will to fight. It's never too late to make things right. This is our mother too, so the land belongs to me and you, and the waters and the rivers and the oceans too. Our universal right. The time is turned from dark to light. Let your heart shine bright, yo.
Do you have a message to humanity that you would?
Pues a todos los hermanos donde llega este mensaje que estoy hablando con ustedes.
To all my brothers and sisters who listen to this message.
Estas palabras no son míos, es de los abuelos.
First of all, these words are not mine. They are words of my ancestors.
En la profecía de los mayas está.
It is in the Maya prophecy.
En el tiempo 12 Bactún.
That in the time of the 12 Bactún.
13 Ajao.
And 13 Ahau.
El regreso de los abuelos.
It is the return of the ancestors.
El retorno de los hombres sabios.
It is the return of the men of wisdom.
Que amanezca.
Let the morning come.
Que llegue la aurora.
Let the dawn come.
Dejando este mensaje que tomen gran miedo al mundo.
So I am here with you, giving you this message right now is not to be afraid, and take this message, spread it throughout the world.
Come look at yourself in the mirror, say.
Another quick sneak peek of Zero's new project out right now on Bandcamp.
Absolutely, brothers and sisters. We rely on LA natives and Las Daslan to kind of help us promote these things. So if that album touched your heart, or if that album gave you any kind of clarity, it's really important that we take the time and maybe share it with someone who you feel is going to be affected in the same way.
Wow, we have a nice little influx of early birds tuning in. I want to shout out everyone that's tuning in right now. Thank you for being patient.
Thank you.
This is going to be a very interesting episode because there's a big holiday coming up tomorrow, apparently.
Yeah. Thanksgiving.
And it's by far, I believe, one of the biggest topics, I think, when it comes to just the whole indigenous movement.
It's a very awkward day. It's a very awkward day for people who are conscious enough to understand the history of America, especially Native perspective. Native perspective has a very different view on Thanksgiving. And, earlier I was talking with my friend Aurelio from Taco Sin Karma. Shout out to Taco Sin Karma. And we were kind of like, what are you doing? And then I'm all like, I don't know. I guess I have to go do something. It's going to be something regarding family. And they go, well, we just as a family get together. But how conflicting is that for you to really be into your culture, understanding your history, and then forced to be in a place where we know that it's almost like going over to the molester's house, where you're like, it's just fucking awkwardly dealing with conversations that are, and then you don't want to be the party pooper. You don't want to be the one going, there's the guy that doesn't like Thanksgiving, right? So that's where we were at talking, me and Aurelio, and he was like, it's kind of a cool place. Like, and I go, look, but if I had the resources that I needed, I would build the fire. And throughout the show, we'll talk about what that fire will be. You know what I mean? But first of all, I just want to start that. And I told him, like, I would do something that meant something to me, right? Because when we silently protest and when we don't eat and when we fast for that day, or it's almost like you're throwing a rock at a tank, But when you just go, like the Chinese people at Tiananmen Square, they stood right in front of the tank and said, fuck it, run me over. Right? And that's not what I'm saying we should do. What I'm saying is we need to take a stand, but figure out a stand that actually means something to us and all those hurt lives that we carry on our back when we are forced to participate in this day. It's hard to put your knowledge aside because Thanksgiving was a massacre. And the people that were celebrating were the colonizers sitting down and eating.
But what's the whole? What are they actually celebrating on Thanksgiving Day? What's the concept behind it?
The celebration.
It's basically the massacre is the big lie.
Yes, absolutely. And then it got marketed and twisted, and they show a nice Pilgrim family, But apparently, from the stories that I've heard, they were all massacres. And I'm starting to think that these colonizers were so sadistic, so evil, that they would be like a Christmas. They would be like a Christmas thing. Like, let's go find a tribe. Let's go slaughter them on Thanksgiving and have a nice Thanksgiving feast. Because we rid ourselves from these individuals from this land.
Well, what I learned growing up, especially learning from elementary school, is the whole thing about pilgrims trading food items from one hand to another, or trading items from one hand to another. I think that was the whole foundation from what I know.
If we're going back,
unless they were,
going back to school book history,
yeah, school book history.
Okay, so
about
school book-
Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, everyone's off. Your parents are off, so they have to justify a big story for you, right?
Right.
And what they told me is like it was the great celebration of us meeting Indians, or Americans meeting Indians, right? Like the whole philosophy of Americans meeting Indians, and gracefully trading items, and everything was fine.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't true. That's not a true story. That's a Hallmark version of it. From what I understand, in my school book history,
in schools we had plays, that.
In my school book history book, this is the way I heard the story, or that I understood it, was that the natives told the colonizers, don't stay there because it gets cold and you can't grow shit, right? And so the natives took off and then came back, and some of them survived, apparently. And so they taught them, hey, if you're going to stay here, you need to prepare for the winter. So they taught them how to grow food and whatever, catch fish. I remember the book showed an Indian throwing a fish into the ground with some seeds, and they covered it with dirt, and this is how you grow food, and now you'll be prepared for the winter. And apparently they celebrate the harvest because the natives exchanged information so that they could continue to survive in that place. And they gave thanks together, right? You gave me something, I gave you something, right? We taught them, we showed them, we told them, don't live there. It's too cold, you're gonna die unless you prepare yourself. And from what we see, you're not prepared. But the settlers are, no, this is my land. This is my fort. This is my yard. And so they paid the consequence for that. But they got savvy. They started exchanging. This is school book information. Now, then you hear the true story of it, where settlers came and massacred everyone and celebrated with the feast. You understand? Like taking advantage or just ridding native tribes off of their ancestral lands.
And I'm sure the date that it falls on is very specific.
Yeah, I don't know. It switches up. So I'm not too familiar about why the date's what it is, but I mean, because it switches up. Sometimes it's on the 21st. Yeah.
If anyone knows,
absolutely,
in the chat, feel free to let us know
or
in the
call
comment
us,
section, or call
put
us.
Up the number. Put up the numbers. Like, this is an open show. We want everybody's opinion on it. But it is a very awkward day for someone who is deeply involved with their culture and preserving it and giving it honor. It's a very conflicting day because, you're like, nah, I don't want turkey. Well, it's easy for me now because I'm plant-based, so there's no struggle, right? But and then you go, well, but I have to defend the people that died on Thanksgiving. And so I'm going to cause a ruckus at a family gathering. And as it is, we don't get very much time off anyways. So any day that we get time off gets embraced and don't take it away.
Hey, Zero, congratulations. You have the day off and you're getting paid.
Yeah.
That's the usual norm.
Well, that's
We're
what
patting
they
you
have
on
us
your back.
trained as. They have us trained with
Oh,
that kind of
and like you
mentality.
said, Zero, if you decide to work, you're getting paid double time.
Yeah. That was more on the sides that I was in, is that we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get double time on that day. So we're conditioned to either, accept this really weird holiday. Because it really didn't even, none of the stories that they said it was that. It was nothing even close to that. And it didn't become a national holiday till I think the 1800s, I believe, if I remember correctly.
And I would assume why turkey is chosen as the prime bird, because apparently they ate turkey at those times.
No, I think it was some lady, it was a Christian lady that suggested that would be the Thanksgiving meal. Like, we're going to eat turkey on this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a Christmas ham,
Stuffing.
Yeah. But it's a very awkward holiday because
It's very awkward to me, man, because I know the true,
when you know the true
foundation
nature
of
of it,
it, yeah.
when you know the true nature of it, but then your mom is all happy cooking and like, oh man, I'm gonna make you some good food, and you don't want to burst her bubble. That's what makes it so awkward. You don't want to burst anybody's bubble, right? And that's the only day that the government's going, well. It's
But look,
Thanksgiving. Nobody should
honestly,
work that day.
I don't want to take away, your decision on actually celebrating and buying a turkey. Feel free, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely.
I can't say I haven't participated, throughout my life span. But recently, I just completely avoid it, and I'm an advocate for the other side.
Well,
And I would assume everyone that's tuning in has the same mind frame.
a lot of people suffered. Indigenous people suffered a lot. And to create a story that is fiction, that had nothing to do with our relationship with them, is deceiving. It's completely deceiving. And I think that's where the conflict is, because so many of us have this school book rendition of what Thanksgiving is.
And what we see in media, in movies, film,
Absolutely.
in music,
Absolutely. Yes. It's
it all ends up being the same story.
yeah, where everybody gets, and then I don't know, it just became, with the
On the news the other day, apparently there's a city with a big celebration going down and they're having a parade, and there's people dressed up like pilgrims and settlers. I'm just like, oh my God.
It's just that, from the age of information, when all that information got to your palm of your hand through your cell phone, and everybody started investing time and research into history, you start pulling out these stories, right? So then that's where the great clash is happening with white supremacy, is that when you have a population that is not educated about true history, then you can pull off the parade with the pilgrim hat and make it seem like these individuals were very advanced knowledge in every capacity, when they didn't listen to the natives. They told them not to live there, right? They were very violent and very sick people. And you're parading them down a parade like if they were cool people, they were the smart ones, and they weren't. But all that information came to light when we started researching on our phones, when we started going to Google and YouTube, and people started pulling out the true story and the true history of Native American relationships around that day, in terms of Thanksgiving. It's not something that...
So Americans generally believe that their Thanksgiving is modeled on a 1621 harvest feast shared by the English colonizers, in quotations, pilgrims, of Plymouth and the Wampanoag people, obviously the natives.
Right.
And there's a picture of a beautiful white lady handing a plate of food to these natives.
And
So
see,
this is
look,
basically
so
what
let's
Thanksgiving
analyze.
is.
Let's analyze that picture. She's giving them food, right? Like that picture right there gives you the impression that they're helping them, not the other way around. It's this is the things, these are the things that we need to be aware about. And the cool thing is that, when you have progressive parents, and I'm a progressive parent, and I tell my kid, my kid Lawis, he tells me, I'm all, passing by the Santa thing, right? I'm all, hey, Lawis, you want a picture with Santa? Just to see what he would say. He's all, Santa isn't real, Dad. You and Mom buy me gifts. And I thank you and I love you for that. Like, the dude knows the truth.
And look at this beautiful picture. There's a dog. There's children. There's
Everyone's
people
running
smiling.
around.
The natives are on their knees begging.
Yeah. That, like, these guys are the guys that are bringing us food. It's so confusing for people sometimes. But, and then the norm of people just go, I don't give a shit. I work fucking 7 days a week,
I want
6
my
days
turkey.
a week.
I want
I just
my
want to
mashed
fucking have a
potatoes."
day off and watch the football game of Dallas and whoever. And I know, because I was caught up in that rut myself. I wasn't always on this level of understanding, right? Sometimes you do say, hey, I do want to go eat some turkey and get drunk back in the day. That was an old me, right? And then the new me who finds out the true information, who feels really conflicted. And I remember being in El Vu and all of us, deciding to fast for Thanksgiving. And then, you do it, and then you're like, but it seems empty. It's like an empty satisfaction, right? Because I don't know, it just didn't seem like I was doing anything about the farce of what Thanksgiving is. I just felt like I was hurting myself, right? And so we started talking, me and Aurelio, and I was like, so what would you do? And I go, wow, if I had my resources, if I had enough resources and I had a space where we can have a fire, I would light that fire. And we would sit down around that fire. And if you wanted to fast that day, you could. No judgment if you didn't. And maybe just really give thanks that we survived something so horrific that you can't shove down any holiday down my throat.
With the worst foods too, guys. Mashed potatoes, stuffing, out of a box.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think that connection with the fire would really kind of heal us, start us on our healing journey.
So Fernando Alvarado, shout out to Fernando. He says, we taught the settlers to make cornbread, corn pudding, corn soup, and fried corn cakes.
Absolutely.
We saved the Europeans from starvation and annihilation only for their descendants to participate in ours.
In land grabs, and it's really not the settlers, it was really the bankers that came from Europe, the bankers that really set up the monetary system and all that stuff. And, but we can't glorify an untrue story. I'm not going to sit here and go, well, like this story, there's so many holes in this story of Thanksgiving and the settlers and that whole picture you just showed with the woman going, hey, let me hook you up with some food, when you were the one starving. Like, who was the one living in the wilderness, us or them? We knew how to get food. We already had food. We understood how to survive through the winter and move somewhere else to maybe not so cold climate,
And shout out to the conscious Chicano. He says natives had many harvest festivals around winter, and they weren't just one day. Natives celebrated harvest before colonization. Harvest was a celebration of seasonal change. Thanksgiving fucked it all up.
Yeah, because we lost focus. We got used to other people growing our food and other people doing our thing, and then we put a nice little picture of a Thanksgiving dinner and we go like, yeah, because we're like that. No, we're not. We're consumers. We're buyers. You know, we went and bought this Marie Callender's turkey dinner and put it on our, our plate, on our table. I mean,
They don't even want to cook it anymore, guys.
yeah, that's how watered down Thanksgiving got. Yet, and then you have the individual that's just really conflicted about it, upset. When you find out about your culture and when you find out who you are and what you represent and what you had to go through just to be an individual of indigenous descent, and then you're conflicted with this weird ass fucking holiday where you have to go sit down and some people go as far. This is when I started feeling super awkward.
So let me ask you, Zero, when your kid tells you, hey, Dad, are we having Thanksgiving?
I honestly, right now,
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know. I look to Jenny. I go, Jenny, are you going to go to your mom's house? Or, it's like right now we're in a situation, though, where we're, me and Jenny,
you're not the only one. No, but the reason
that's
why
I'm
I
telling
ask
you that
you, the reason why I ask you, because thousands have the same scenario going down. Like, look, deep down, it's a fucked up holiday.
Yeah. And then you're like,
but
I don't
hey,
want to fuck
babe,
off my day off.
Babe,
It's like,
babe, can we go to your dad's house and eat the turkey there?
yeah, it's like, but cool thing about me and Jenny is that we really had a serious talk, and we're like, little by little, we're decolonizing our entire family from this understanding, right? That we have to go. That's what this topic of the show is.
Because
is how
at school,
awkward it is.
At school, all the kids are talking about it.
Well, they're not in school right now because they went on that vacation.
Oh, that's
but my son goes to Anahuacalmeca, and in that charter school, shout out to Anahuacalmeca and Marcos and his wife for doing all the work that they do. Tata Kwashli will always remember him. They don't really do that. They don't mention it.
That's good.
And they're off of school for vacation, so they don't really have to deal with it. That and Christmas. They don't really kind of put that in their curriculum, which is really, really cool. A really, really small piece, because we as parents have to continue that education. Continue telling our story to our children in the most palatable way. I'm not saying that you should bombard your 3-year-old to 8-year-old with the massacre story, but say we have a different intention. But this is the whole topic of the show. Because right now I'm saying all this, and I know that tomorrow people from LA natives are going to go, well, but I'm going to my mom's house. And
someone in the chat's asking you, can we celebrate it in our own way?
See, that's what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about that awkwardness. I'm talking about even having to say that, because if I had my resources together, if I had, just like Kanye West, wait till I get my money right, I'm going to be sitting with the fire on this day. I promise myself that I'm going to do this. I have to do this. Before I die, I'm going to sit with the fire every Thanksgiving. And I'm going to pray for those souls. I'm going to ask them to be with me, to help us heal our people. Because we can tap into those things. We can tap into those intentions. When people die in an unjust way, that intention kind of revolves. It lingers. We, the living, have to put that into motion. What is that going to be for the next 7 generations? And we have to start now. Now is the time to stand up to this very awkward holiday.
Now, do you believe it's ever going to get canceled? I think it's too much of a moneymaker.
But you know what though? It's
Can you imagine how many turkeys are killed?
But think about it, bro. Like we're talking about this as if it had any kind of sacredness to it. Right? Jewish people probably don't, like they don't celebrate Christmas. They celebrate their own version of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the brother was saying, is that indigenous people always celebrated the harvest. It's just that the mainstream media, movies, you name it, news, they all program us to be like, okay, it's coming, it's today, there, it's over, get back to work, shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? Become a slave still, right? And we're caught in the middle going, well, at least I get to sit down, you know, and have a day off. You can't go anywhere because fucking everything's closed. Like, almost like they're fucking forcing you.
They're forcing families who probably can't even afford it to go out super out of their way to spend hundreds of dollars on a dinner just to regurgitate it to their kids who are seeing this and just passing it down.
Here's another thing, though. Here's another thing I started thinking about. And I learned this by going to Mexico. When I went to Mexico, there was, I think it was around this time. And they started talking to me about Thanksgiving. They're like, man, that's crazy how you live in a country where people engorge themselves on one day and then go back the next day and engorge themselves. It's almost like a rich country holiday, because people in third world countries don't have that luxury. They don't have the $300 for that meal to give away to their family. They're worried about what they're going to eat the next day. It's really so see how
You
awkward.
gorge yourself and then you eat all the leftovers for
The
like
next
a week.
day.
A week.
Yeah,
You just-
it's so much food. It's so much food for this one day that really did not exist.
And I honestly, growing up as a kid, I would gorge myself because I was apparently brainwashed to do so.
Yeah, it's there. It's like a pile of stuff.
In movies, you see it. There's actors and there's rows of people gorging on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, it's. I started noticing it when I would travel to Mexico or to places that maybe weren't as rich as we were. And even if we're poor, we're still kind of rich. If we can afford a meal like that, $150, like that's sometimes a family's budget for the month to eat. And we're spending it all on one day, you know? And so there's another part of this holiday that's awkward, where you have to spend so much money for this one meal, right? To engorge yourself, to be a glutton. Let's eat until we can't eat no more. Because it's a holiday where the Indians and the natives got together.
In,
So
in solidarity.
In solidarity. Like that, like they were kicking down knowledge to us, you know? As you can see from the fancy painting that we showed, you know?
It's a beautiful painting, you know? Like it's so warm and so touching to the naked eye, you know?
I mean, they really convinced you that we had no idea what we were doing in the
Why are
wilderness.
the natives on their knees or like bending down and like picking off the plate?
Like we had no idea of how to dry food, how to store it. It's like we used to live in the wilderness, not them. They came from places where they had tables and chairs and all that comfort, right? We don't have any idea of what that is. You know? Like, according to the school book knowledge, we're the ones that taught them how to grow the food. Yet in this painting, it seems like they're teaching us. We're the ones starving. Yet we're the ones that have been living in this wilderness for probably thousands of years. At least hundreds.
In this painting, there's a white pilgrim just chatting away with this native woman, like as if they're having a great conversation about how beautiful the day is.
This is a fake. See, this is
And this is what people see on Google when they type in Thanksgiving.
no, this is what people think they're doing when they go to their mom's house to eat dinner. When they go to anywhere, this is what they think they're doing. And this is a fictitious thing. It did not happen. Nothing close to that ever happened. Yet we go and we sit down and we believe that it happened because we see paintings like that, or we see a commercial that does something like that. It never happened. ever. That's what Thanksgiving is. It's big, fake story. You know, marketed to you so you can go and drop $200, $300, $400 on this one dinner.
It's but like I said, if you decide to celebrate it, have a turkey, feel free to do so. You can do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
But me personally, I'd rather eat a tamale, a pupusa, something, you know, I feel.
I told Jenny I'm making mushroom pozole.
Oh, that's a
what I'm
great
eating.
alternative.
That's what I'm going to eat. I'm just going to eat mushroom pozole. It's
But now,
plant-based.
you being in the vegan world and in the health, like, is turkey apparently more healthier than chicken? Because someone in the comments said turkey is apparently, you know, on paper, healthier than chicken.
I don't think any meat is healthy for you.
Absolutely.
I don't think any meat. I think it should be eaten in a way that's spread out so far apart from each other. Like, some people are going to hit me on the chat and they're going to say, but the Mexicas used to eat turkey, or they used to whatever's. But it wasn't every day. Like, they didn't, I know for sure they didn't have fucking one day and then everybody came over and stuffed themselves so they couldn't stuff themselves no more and then come back the next day and try to do it again. That's not, I don't believe that we were in that. It wasn't efficient. So if we start to use our memory, right? And our memory is in our blood. And when we ask our blood the question of what we used to eat to survive back then, common sense will answer you with fermented foods, seeds, roots, algae, berries, these things, because they hold a lot of nutrient. To think that you're getting any kind of nutrition out of a meal like that is silly.
Here it is. Here's the meal that Google shows you.
Right. It's just not nutritious, you know, and indigenous people were seed eaters, you know. We drank from streams that had algae and pollen that fell from the trees. We were mineral consumers from different sources. So to eat a meal like that, it's not even appealing to somebody on that level of nutrition. I mean, we survived in deserts, jungles, and we survived and we thrived. You know, our nutrition was not this turkey with mashed potatoes and things. So again, the topic of this show and the conversation that we're having today is how awkward this whole day is. What do we do? What do we do as conscious people? Because I told Aurelio too, I'm tired of protesting this thing. I'm tired of being the guy that has to say something about it or knows the truth about it or whatever it is. I don't want to do that no more. I just want to do something that this is what I do on this day. And that's sit with that fire. You know? Consult with that fire.
I saw so many memes on Instagram regarding Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming. Of course, there's people that are very outspoken. It's just, I'm on the same page as you, Zero. Just do something different.
Yeah.
You know?
We have to figure it out. And that's a cool thing about what I'm proposing to the LA Native community and audience is that none of this is solved overnight. None of these questions are solved overnight. But I am today bringing up the question of the awkwardness of this holiday. I'm coming here today to tell myself that I need to prepare that space to have that fire with my children, with my family, and whoever else wants to join in. Because it's not a protest. It's you connecting with reality, the reality of this lie, right? And healing what was hurt. Families were decimated. you know. I try not to bring up our trauma as something to show weakness, because I'm pointing it out as strength. We are resilient, strong individuals. If you have the courage to say, I don't feel right about this holiday, I don't feel right about doing this, that's the depth of your soul talking to you. It's telling you that this does not feel right. And I'm not telling you not to go to your mom's house and not go sit down and have a good meal with your family. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you to take a moment for that conflicting part in you, right? Pay attention to it, because that's where truth lies. It lies in that place, right? Because you're feeling something. You're feeling awkward about being there, because so many indigenous lives and so many indigenous people have suffered. How can you have a holiday giving thanks knowing that you took so many lands from so many natives?
And shout out to 3Pac 1995. He says, the first wave of pilgrims were at the point of cannibalism. One guy was accused of killing his wife to eat her. Then they killed him.
I told you, the story was the natives kept telling them, don't stay there. You're going to fucking starve. But they're so used to eating meat. They didn't want to eat seeds. They didn't want to eat root. They didn't want to eat the things that you needed to eat to survive. We didn't have those diets. We did not have those diets. No, we're not surviving winters like that. I'm sure that I know there was, somebody had mentioned a pine needle tea. Like they used to pick pine needles and put it into water and boil it and drink it. I'm sure there was a nutritional value to that. Pine nuts, things that could be stored for long periods of time that will not get destroyed from cold weather.
And I would hope for everyone tuning in right now, shout out to everyone watching this, that hopefully this show does remind you and encourage you to basically boycott Thanksgiving. That's what I'm doing, bro.
In your own way. In your own way, bro. Because another thing that I want to address is that sometimes we can't avoid it. Sometimes we just cannot avoid it. You're stuck there. And until you can figure out a creative way to excuse yourself from the table that celebrates genocide, because that's what it is. It's a dinner table that celebrates genocide.
It's a conditioned table too in your brain psychologically.
Yeah, because you're a weirdo.
Born with it.
Like if Vic goes to your mom's house, right? For instance, as an example, and you don't go. Your mom's gonna go, hey Vic, what happened to? Oh, he's protesting Thanksgiving. He doesn't want to do it. What a weirdo.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right?
The whole family will be upset.
What a weirdo. Like, what's his thing? That's what I'm talking about.
We have turkey.
I'm talking about that awkwardness. It almost seems like you have to, oh, wow, fuck it. I'm going to go. I'm just going to go. And like, that's what I know. I know that there's a lot of people out there. I know that there's a lot of people in the LA Natives community that just has to go. And it's cool. Don't feel bad about it. There's no judgment here in LA Natives universe.
Hopefully, I would think you could mention it at the dinner table and remind the children and remind, your mom and dad of what they're really celebrating. Because ultimately, my parents, you know what they'll tell me? They'll just stick with the whole, like my pops, he'll be like, well, I'm celebrating this country, mijo.
Yeah, because he got something better from where he was coming from. Yeah.
And if this country celebrates that, then we're going to do it too.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to be like them.
Yeah. Sometimes you just
They got me out of this shithole in Mexico.
Sometimes you just have to go.
I'm like, Dad, that's not the point. Dad, just do some research and you'll know exactly what Thanksgiving means. Mm-hmm. Basically, the attempt of the whole instinction of the indigenous population.
Nah, don't you see the picture? Like, I mean, they really buy into the propaganda of somewhere at some point in time in the Americas, we had that picture where whites were nice enough to put food on a plate and offer it to us while we beg for it.
But Heron has a point, like how you said. Shout out to Heron.
Jump on the call, Heron.
Jump on the call, Heron. But anyways, Heron says talking about what Thanksgiving really is with family in a good way is much better than not doing anything at all.
Well, that's not what I'm suggesting either. I'm not suggesting that we don't do anything. I'm asking you to be a creative individual. I'm asking you to use your intellect. I'm asking you to use the creativity of your heart to come up with a solution for your soul, because it's conflicted on this day. I know, because that's what I feel. I feel very conflicted. As a matter of fact, Lawis did tell me, Dad, are you going to cook Thanksgiving dinner if Mom has to go to a birth? I'm sorry, I'm not. I'll make pozole, but I'm not going to make that. I just can't. I can't.
I'm not going to have the pumpkin pie and the mashed potatoes and the cranberry sauce.
Yeah. That's not going to be that. It's not going to be that.
Where you go to Food for Less and that's all you see when you walk in. The pie crust, the cranberry sauce.
It's like, it's almost like.
Oh, and the world famous stuffing, the shit in the box, that garbage.
Yeah. The world famous stuff. See, not even the food's getting better. You would think that we would be doing it for so long and fucking food gets better. The only time it gets better is when we start making tamales and pozole on that day, you know? And that's totally unrelated to Thanksgiving. It's for some reason we always make tamales and pozole.
But now, did your kid get upset?
No, not really. Not really. But he is very heavily marketed too. He's very heavily marketed. But I know that we got the Christmas thing down. Thanksgiving, he doesn't really conceptualize too much, but I told him I wasn't going to cook it. I'm not going to cook it. I can't cook it. I won't cook it. I just can't do it no more. It's enough.
You know what I have an issue with is that the mainstream media and the radio that, you know, we're all consumed with, apparently just from a reach of a touch of a button in our car, right? No one talks about the true origins of what Thanksgiving really means.
Well, I think they do, but we get so marketed and the propaganda is so great that they believe the propaganda versus the horrible story or the truth.
I might hear, you know, activist late night 12 p.m. KPFK talking about, you know, the stuff behind Thanksgiving and what it truly means. But why are they put on midnight and they're on like a super independent radio station talking about this, you know?
Well, I mean, no matter what, they've been promoting this day and this false narrative for so long that it's hard for us to break it. You know, that's why I think the topic of this show is how awkward it is, right? Because you don't want to be the dude that's like, you don't want to be the Debbie Downer on that dude on that day.
Yep.
You know, you don't want to be the guy that they talk about because you know too much, right? You know too much history, you know? And also too, it's like, sometimes you have to go. What if your mom and dad, like you said, I feel proud of being an American son. They gave me the day off today, you know?
This country changed our lives.
Yeah. It gave you what you have right now, son. You know? But they don't understand the racism that we have to live with and kind of like a place that we never excel. And we wonder why we can't excel, because we have these days that are very misleading and false. You know, that day, let me reiterate again, Las Taslan. That day does not exist. Never in the history of this planet has there been a day like that. it's false. You know? And I know you guys are good people because I'm sure that the person that commented, what if I celebrated in my own way? You know, what if I'm there at the dinner? That's what I'm talking about. I've been that guy at the dinner and not say anything and know the truth deep down inside. How hard is that to do? Right? How hard is it to keep everything inside and not express yourself fully? You know, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this genocide dinner. I'm not going to pretend that this doesn't symbolize something bad for my people. I'm not you, and I'll never be you. Ever. Everything since I was a kid told me to be everything opposite of you. That's why this day is so conflicting, bro.
And the waste, bro.
Yeah.
Every household, there's always
It's not a
mad
cheap
leftovers.
Yeah, it's not a cheap day. I mean, you should ask your mom. Mom, how much do you spend on Thanksgiving dinner?
I remember as a kid, I used to bug the shit out of her. Are we gonna have the turkey? And we're broke as fuck. And she's just trying to gather up a few $100 stressed out because she was obligated to do it for her kid.
Right. Because you went to school and you did your little thing and you made your little paper turkey and you told mom tomorrow's turkey day or whatever the fuck. You know, and poor communities really struggle. You know, I know what my mom used to have to go through, and my mom was very resourceful. I mean, she just used to go, oh, they're giving away tickets. They're giving away turkeys over there at the church, you know, and so she would go grab one. Sometimes they give the whole meal, you know. You know, my mom found a way to get around it, you know, but it was very stressful for her because what if, you know, she had to stand in line for hours and, you know, how would she feel? Like, I'm probably embarrassed to even ask for that. Like, I don't think about that, you know, just so she's trying to fulfill a need. And it's frustrating because that fucking day didn't exist.
So obviously, you know, someone in the comments are maybe suggesting not being bitter about it. Are you being bitter about the whole situation? I don't even think that's the case, right?
Bitter. That's a good one. Why wouldn't you be bitter? Yeah, I am bitter. I am bitter that I'm forced to sit at a table and pretend that white colonizers were nice to natives and they didn't steal their land and they didn't rape their women and they didn't steal their children and they didn't murder them for no reason and they didn't I'm a little bitter. I'm a little bitter, bro.
Damn right.
I'm a little bitter. I'm sorry. When it comes to that day and planting a seed in my 7-year-old that this day is a normal day, yeah, I'm a little bitter. But I'm not rude. I'm not rude. I'm not trying to be rude. But bitter, yeah, I'm bitter. It's okay to be bitter sometimes. Maybe that's my healing journey. Maybe I need to look inward a little more. But I know for a fact that I feel awkward on that day. All day I feel awkward. What makes it better is that I'm around my family.
Just you know, 3POC 1995 just read my mind. I was about to say the same thing. I call it passion, bro. I call it something that you believe in, and you have to do what you believe in. You can't front on yourself. I think that will make you a lot more, you know, just free in the head.
Right. Like, I have to just continue to follow my heart and understand. And maybe I'll do a small fire this year, you know, and I'll remember and I'll start my tradition.
Or just like how the Conscious Chicano just wrote right now in the chat, the white man keeps telling us to get over it and don't be bitter.
Yeah. Like, it's all good. It's all good now, guys.
Remember that picture, that painting.
Yeah. It's true. It happened. One day it happened in the U.S. history. That fucking lie right there fucking never happened. It never happened. Dude, anybody that thought I'm trying to be bitter, it's like me going, okay, I'm going to draw you selling drugs to a little kid and grabbing an old lady's ass and then going, but are you bitter, bro? Because it's you're gonna go, that's not true. I never sold drugs to kids, and I never grabbed an old lady's ass. You know, I don't know if you're catching what I'm trying to say. Is like, you can't just make up a fucking picture and say that's what happened, that's the truth, when we know that that's not the truth. Do me a favor. Research what the true Thanksgiving is, and you'll see.
And I could, honestly say I've probably never seen such a misleading picture in my life compared to this one right here.
That's just a fucking lie. It never happened. Never in this day. Never
This
on
won
this
the
land.
award right here. This Thanksgiving traditional origins and meaning picture here on Google. Oh, and this is on history.com, by the way.
Because it's true. That's what happened, according to them.
The nice conversation between the beautiful white woman and the beautiful native woman right there, just having a good time, right?
I mean, and just looking at that picture, you almost see all the white people's heads are above the natives. Take a good notice of that.
Yep.
Right? They're superior to us. Yet we knew how to live in the wilderness. Yet we knew how to fish in the streams. Yet we knew how to grow crops. Yet we knew how to move when it was fucking winter. But they get to sit on top of us. That's why,
Julia says, Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just feel awkward on this day. I just have to be honest. And I'm bitter, but in an intelligent way, in an intellectual way. I have to be bitter when someone's feeding you shit. You can't force it down my throat and just ignore it. Just ignore it. It's like, fuck, dude, I can't ignore it. I can't ignore this.
So there's alternatives, right? People have Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we tried when we were in the early 2000s. We did some Thanksgiving shows with XRF, and El Boo was a part of it, and Aslan Underground was a part of it. I know, though, as we sat down in the beginning of this show, prior to this, we said that we needed to map out our year. We really need to map out our year as natives, and follow the movement of the sun. And we need to be on point with these things. And that'll probably give us something better to do than go do this.
But I appreciate everyone in the chat, man. The chat is on fire because you're passionate too. You guys are watching this and you guys are probably agreeing with everything that Zero is saying,
And if you don't agree, that's cool too, because I understand. I was that person too, sitting there on the couch, watching a game I wasn't interested anymore in, eating food that I stopped eating. I stopped eating meat. It just didn't make sense. None of that made sense to me. And I can't be a drone or fake or a puppet or a mannequin sitting at a table and just being numb and not going, oh, okay, I'm not going to question anything. Right? Because I want to have a good time with my family. Even that is kind of weird.
And from what I know, it's only an American holiday, right? Probably.
I know they don't have it in Mexico.
Yeah, in Mexico, there's probably, what the fuck are you guys celebrating, right?
Yeah, it's some fucking lie. It's a lie. All of it is a lie. They're the biggest liars in the world. And it's time for us to find truth. What is that truth? That's what I'm asking you out there. What is that truth? What truth lies in your heart? Right? Are you just going to ignore it and enjoy the day? Are you going to protest and disrupt the whole thing? I don't know. I just think we should intellectually look at it.
So Heron says many Mexican families cook traditional Mexican food instead of the so-called American turkey dinner. But I dealt with that family. I know exactly what Heron's talking about, where I would go to a family member's house in Thanksgiving. They wouldn't have turkey. They would tamales, pupusas, a bunch of alternatives, but still celebrate the whole holiday, like as if it's something great.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, it's a very awkward day because even Mexicans that are preparing food that day, they're like, oh, I don't really know what this day's about, but I'm going to fucking make some food. You know, it's like nobody works today and no stores are open
And the
no
grocery
banks
markets are
open.
full of turkeys.
Yeah. And, you know, and for a little bit, it was more about Black Friday. You know what I mean? More people talked about more about Black Friday and what they were going to buy
Spend money on.
versus the actual Thanksgiving, you know? And you know, the hardest part about
So that's, man,
let me
talking about money, making money,
yeah.
selling shit that you don't need on the next day.
Yeah.
People fucking camping out.
Yeah. Consumerism.
stores.
Consumerism, you know? I'm going to go buy the TV for $90. It's a shitty ass TV, you know? I guess the hardest part I have with Thanksgiving is that we're sitting on a table, and I remember one Thanksgiving we were sitting around the table and everybody's all, well, why don't you start? Somebody start. And I kind of just looked up and I was like, in my head, I said, when are they going to start? And then so you hear just, you know, a family member, well, I want to give thanks for this, that, and the other. And I want to thank this, that, and
That
the
was so
other.
awkward for me. Zero.
Yeah. And then another family member gets up and I really want to give thanks for this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other.
Fuck.
And it's like, I'm going, and I'm getting really deep into my culture and understanding the true
And then
nature of it.
two seats away, and then it's your turn, right, Zero?
You know? Yeah.
So when
And
they
see,
passed
here-
when they passed you the mic, then what happened? Did you stand up and say, "Look, I want to give thanks, dude"?
No, I just said, look, guys, it's nice to see everybody. And I passed the mic. You know, that's all I could say. And that's what I mean is that I'm not there to disrupt the party. I'm not there to be the Debbie Downer. I'm not there to school you on true history, because if you're not interested in finding out the truth about your own history, that's on you. That's not a crime. But I live in reality, bro.
Bro, I lived in.
I live in fucking flesh world. I live in a world where fucking things happen, right? And rules are made to hurt me, enslave me, right? I live in that world. So that world doesn't allow me to live in the world of fantasy land and that fucking picture that never existed.
Bro, I lived in a household where my parents would take us to our aunts or uncles, and they would prep us, say, "Hey, look, piece of shit, like, you better have your thanks written and not make us look stupid when you have to give thanks on Thanksgiving, mijo, because that's what you need to do."
Wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
That's
Dad?
indoctrination.
I'm like, Pops, like, Mom, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, God damn it.
That's an indoctrination. Like, you need to
I want to
do.
give thanks to my mom, my dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
In there. Oh, wow. See, even that is like,
Thank you, mijo. Thank
yeah,
you.
even it's not sincere. Not to talk shit about you.
Putting
but
fear, like-
exactly, like forcing you to do it. Like almost like, dale un beso a tu tía. And you're like, I don't want to. And they make you do it like some
Thank you,
psychologist.
Tia, for cooking this amazing dinner.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, thank you for the pumpkin pie or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was awkward for me, because,
because you didn't have enough education. You didn't have your pops understand. Did your pops ever sit you on your lap and go, look, dude, I'm going to sit down right here. There's a day that happens every year that we really need to pay attention to. And it's because of this, that, and the other.
absolutely not. He was just so,
It was like, what did the school teach you?
Yep.
Oh, is it that day? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Look, fucking Thanksgiving. Yeah, we're at Thanksgiving now.
well, I'm a mechanic,
Yeah. Busting his ass.
busting his ass.
Just so that you can have that meal.
Yeah.
Working double time, triple time, longer than everyone else. It's just slavery. But that's an individual who's not aware. Those are the only people that could really be enslaved. Because once you start questioning everything, once you start taking notice of the awkwardness, then you become that much freer. You become that much freer from the clutches of colonialism. Colonialism forces you and indoctrinates you and makes you feel bad for not joining in. And I don't want to join in on your fucking thing. I'm that much freer from you. I understand the truth. I know the truth. That day never existed. Nobody can point a book or whatever the fuck. And even if you did, it would probably be a lie and a distortion and an exaggeration of what happened. That day never happened. Yet we sit down at that table and believe that it did. That's what I have a problem with. That's what I have a problem with.
Stand your ground, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, stand your ground. I do every year. Someone tells me Thanksgiving, I literally tell them, hey, bro, I don't fuck with that.
Good, Armando. And that's a step. That's enough. That makes me feel happy. That makes me feel happy because people that I've been doing this since 1999, I started taking a stance against Thanksgiving and knowing the truth about it. And there's not many people that joined us. We had to do that all weird and awkward, and that's why I'm here right now today on this podcast telling you how fucking awkward this day is. It's a day that doesn't live within a day because you're forced to sit down and give thanks when people murdered, raped, and stole your children from you. Yeah, them motherfuckers. And since 1999, we've been resisting that. It's hard, bros. I'm not here to chat. I don't have the answer for tomorrow. I don't have the answer for you to be comfortable or for me to throw salt on your day. I'm not here to do that. I'm not throwing salt on your day, and I'm not trying to make you a protester on that day.
But if you're indigenous and you could relate to this video, stand your ground.
Yeah, in your heart. In your heart. Your heart will always guide you to the right words. Your heart will never mislead you. It's a powerful tool. It's just the same as being acquainted with your mind. Your mind and your heart have two different realities. But always follow this one. This one always seems to have the right, humble answer. Again, I hope you have a great day tomorrow. I hope you laugh and have an amazing day with your children and your family.
Most importantly, I think I want to say if your company gave you the day off, take advantage of it.
Yes, enjoy it. Kick your feet up.
Because best believe you're going back to work.
Yeah, our reality is that, right? Maybe we just go to dinner and we know. I'm sitting down, but I know this day never happened. I know this day never happened. And we can all sit here and act like it did, but it never did. And you can eat. That's enough for me. I'll feel that energy because I'll be with you. I don't know what I'm going to be eating. I don't know what I'll be making. But I know one thing. I'm going to enjoy my day off with my little boy and my family. Not my little boy, but my family. I say my little boy because I don't really get to see him. I'm at the shop most of the time and he's at school. But my family is important to me. So I am going to enjoy that day. I'm going to enjoy that day. But I know it didn't happen. I know that fucking dinner didn't happen. Nah. No way. If it did, we would have different relationships. You wouldn't have broken the treaties that you broke. Every single one of them. Every single treaty you wrote, you broke.
And guys, before our last words, just take a good little glimpse at this picture that Google shows you right here. I believe it's the most misleading picture I've ever seen in my life.
It is. It's like America, land of the free. Well, how could it be free if you enslaved Africans and you stole the land and you enslaved and raped and stole the children of natives? It's a false picture. That day never happened. But I do wish you a good day.
Shout out to history.com. Shout out to google.com.
Yeah.
For
telling us a fucking dope, dumbass lie. The best lie ever. Look at that
Fuck.
shit. Amazing. Wow.
that
You
nice
really-
conversation right here, Zero, right? With the beautiful native woman.
I'm sure
beautiful
she's
white
kicking
lady.
knowledge down. I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's kicking some knowledge. You know, it looks like it. You know? Yeah, man. Enjoy yourself tomorrow. Have fun with your family. But know that that day never happened. And one day, 100 years from now, that day won't exist for us anymore. We would have transformed it into something different. We have to transform it into something different. We have to transform all of this lie into something different, into the true essence of Anáhuac, of the people of Turtle Island, and the communities of Turtle Island. We have that power inside of us. We are the ones that were prophesized to do this. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The ones that would resist. The ones that would carry the backs of all those people that were lost to this genocide. We have to remember. And that when we take a stance on this day, not only on this day, but every day, just tomorrow just is really awkward, man. Because I know the truth. And the truth is that day never happened. But you go on and enjoy that day. And we'll see you next time. Lasokamatli, Umeteo, Donansi.